Mhm. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for letting me join you all for one of these community hours. I'm very excited to talk to you all. I often talk to scientists, but it's actually been a while since I've had a conversation with just folks who are focused on the science. So for any questions you have, please ask them because we'd love to make sure we're giving all the right information to the types of folks who might need to hear that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm using a thing called Menti. If anyone's used it before, it is more interactive than the Zoom polls a little bit. So you'll be scanning a QR code to answer some questions for me. It includes trivia questions later on. So it'll actually be fun questions at the end. So if you would like to participate, you are more than welcome. And I'll make sure the code is also in the chat so you can use it for your computer as well. I'll go ahead and share my screen so I can introduce all this. Let's see. Okay, I think you're seeing the right thing now. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about public engagement with SciStarter. So off to the right here, you'll see a bunch of different terms. We have citizen science, acts of science, participatory science, civic science. There's a whole lot, crowdsourced research. There's a ton of synonyms and related words that are involved in all this. So I just wanted to address that first because for some folks or some communities, and depending on where you are in the world, even, we use different terms. The most common one and the one that has the most official definition is citizen science, but if you're more comfortable using other ones, you're more than welcome to, and you should, whatever fits to your audience. So, to give you an even deeper agenda of the timetable within this, I'll be talking about these things. So, I'll give a brief explanation for what citizen science is, what SciStarter is, what it means to be a citizen scientist. So, if you want to be a volunteer on science projects, if you want to be a project leader yourself, as I was reading through the table you have for the notes document, I'm excited to see some folks have done some citizen science, and some of you are completely new to it. So, hopefully I'll be able to address every version. So let me know if I can answer any questions in the meantime. And then lastly, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take part, like your invitation to join the big world of citizen science, which is actually at its peak in Citizen Science Month, which is April every single year. So if you are thinking to yourself, it's January, that's way too long, not to fear. You can do citizen science anytime. And then if any of you are involved with or know of America 250, apologies to anyone who's international, this is a pretty uniquely United States thing, but it's also the 250th anniversary of America being a country. So this year is also a deeper level of engagement for the sake of volunteerism for America 250 celebrations. So I'll go through all that and we'll start with the basics. So I'm the director of operations and programs for SciStarter, so I do a lot of our work all together. We talk to all kinds of folks. I'll talk to you about like what that means in the context of you all. Um, but to give you the definition for SciStarter specifically, and it does vary across different organizations, we call it a global movement. So citizen science is a global movement that enables people from all walks of life to contribute to real scientific research in collaboration with scientists. So we're not the regular people are not the subjects of the science. They can sometimes be, but it's not often. In fact, it's usually not that at all. It's usually collecting data or classifying data. And you should be able to do it anytime and from anywhere. So while there are some uniquely regional projects or projects specific to a species in one area of the world, for example, for the most part, there are plenty of projects you could do from anywhere. And again, here are a bunch of those synonyms that you might hear. Neighborhood science is especially popular in the LA area, and I saw someone from LA in this list, so shout out to you. This is definitely the most popular term out there as well. Okay, so just to give you all a chance to tell me what you've actually done, I saw some of you have done a few projects. When you think of citizen science, can you name any projects that might relate to that? Maybe it's not citizen science, but it's close to, um, or it might be, and you're not sure. Feel free to drop it into the Menti either from the link I just dropped in the chat, or from the code I just dropped in the corner. You can also write it in the chat if you're like, I don't know how to use this. I'm happy to read it off instead. Any thoughts? Dark Energy Explorers. I'm literally doing an event on that on February 11th. Zooniverse, yeah, the whole list of Zooniverse projects. There's about, I want to say maybe 30 on that list. Name That Neutrino. I knew that was going to come up. I saw the event y'all had with Christy from Name That Neutrino. Love it. Uh, Where'd it go? I have too many things up on my, let me get rid of the chat for a second. NYC trees count. I'm actually not familiar with that one. I'm curious if we have it on SciStarter. Countering misinformation. Yeah, a lot of the work we're doing citizen science is in the practice of countering misinformation. So definitely, I don't know of any project that's specifically called that, but there have been things like Public Editor, which has evaluated misinformation and helped determine how to like alert or set an alert for when it is information. Aurorasaurus. Oh, I love it. I'll be mentioning Aurorasaurus later. Astronomy project. Yes, okay. Projects. Pulsar Science Collab. Nice. I'm actually not sure if I've seen that one on SciStarter either. Penguin Watch. It's a classic. I used to give the example of if you go on SciStarter and search for penguin, you'll find like 7 projects. It is now decreased to about 2, but that's okay. Sometimes penguins are well researched enough, we move on. Great Backyard Bird Count, that is a massive one. The Christmas bird count is actually one of the longest running citizen science projects in existence. It just recently celebrated its 126th year of practice this past Christmas. I think it was 26. I might be off by a year. All right, this is awesome. I'll go ahead and move us forward. I'm so glad you guys have heard of a bunch of projects. Okay, so to give you a breakdown for what this actually means for people to be involved, people could be doing all kinds of things from observing. So maybe they're looking for biodiversity in their neighborhoods. Maybe they're observing the night sky for constellations they can see. They might be monitoring. So they could be using devices for air quality measurement. They could be counting pollinators at a plant. Bird migration would mean looking up at the sky when you see those giant traffic lines of birds going past your home. You could be measuring things like water quality using low-cost sensors made out of literally a water bottle and a tampon. It's called tampling. You could be looking at light pollution with a light meter or a sky quality meter. You could be looking at trash in waterways to document what's there and then removing it from the situation. You could be analyzing things, so that's more along the lines of Zooniverse, where you're looking at videos like Name That Neutrino or images like Snapshot Wisconsin or Dark Energy Explorers, and you're analyzing it for them. You could also be fully collecting. So there's been like soil sample collecting. If you've ever heard of adventure scientists, that's a whole group of citizen science projects that are really intense. And what I mean by that is like they ask for hikers and like, oh, what's the word for the skiing? Back skiing, where you're kind of in nature, you're not on an actual path. And they look for people to collect data and send it into labs. Did someone answer that for me in the chat? Backcountry skiing, thank you. Thanks, Maria. Yeah, excellent. And then it's basically tied to hobbies. So even if it's kind of unintentional, many of these things are very much tied to hobbies. You could be riding a bike through your town, just doing your regular road cycling and attach a air quality meter to your bike and just measure as you go. One of my colleagues at SciStar actually does that in Lebanon, in Beirut. And so you can watch his track of air quality measurements throughout the town, which is really fun to see. So, is this real science? The answer is yes. And so, I'm going to give you some examples of what we've actually found out from citizen scientists, very much proving the point of like it is very high quality data. It does not often end up being that there's bad data, or if there is bad data, citizen science is the way to actually track how to prevent bad data, which I can get into further if there are more questions about that as well. But most recently, we were able to publish a paper, we being not me, my apologies. There was a published paper about sky brightness where we're noticing that it doubles every 8 years. And so that's 10% every year. And that's a globe at night project. So that's using a sky quality meter to measure the night sky brightness and also looking at constellations to see which stars you can see out of a constellation to measure the level of sky brightness. So that's a pretty daunting thing to hear. It's very upsetting to me personally. So I'm glad that we know so we can start addressing things and advocating for dark sky and responsible lighting. There's also hundreds of exoplanets that have been discovered. So if you heard the news about Percival in the last couple of years, I believe that was, yeah, 2024. Percival was named by the Planet Hunters Test group, and it's an exoplanet in a habitable zone, which is fun to hear. There's also 126 bird species that were able to be identified as lost to science. This is not the citizen scientists specifically choosing these birds or anything. It was a meta-analysis by a group of scientists looking at several different projects, iNaturalist, eBird, Xenocanto, and finding these 126 birds that were, or rather, not finding them, missing from the data for more than 10 years, which is really daunting. And again, we can start looking for these birds. In fact, I think that number might be down to 125 at this point because we did find one via iNaturalist in recent past. So things happen all the time. We've also been able to see um, um, very specifically, I'm forgetting the word where you start from the community up. This was a social media campaign. And so it was a very unique opportunity for people to just post about annoying ants in their cars. And we were able to identify the fact that this ant species specifically was becoming invasive by hitchhiking through cars. And this was in Taiwan. So these are all really recent. There's a billion other examples I can give you. In fact, I have one more that's really gross that I saved for the end because it's hilarious and it's a little older. But back in 2012, oh, it cut off a little bit. Sorry about that. We now know that the human belly button contains 50 plus species types of bacteria, which is disgusting. There's over 1,000 or so actual species, but the types of species is at 50 plus based on the analysis, which, as I mentioned before, we're not usually using humans as subjects, but we basically told a bunch of humans to take a swab their belly buttons, and send it into a lab and figure this out, which is just alarming, just great and alarming. So knowing all of that information, what it has accomplished, what it is to begin with, does anyone have any ideas as to how this might help your work so I can kind of also help contextualize this to you as well? Is this something of interest for your work or your personal life, honestly? Maybe there's a hobby you want to mention as this being something of a lot of interest. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat for you again. And I see some chats going through, so I'll take a look in case there's anything I can comment on. Sharing news about fusion energy on social media. Cool. Citizen researcher. I love that term. Yeah, absolutely, Marissa. Water quality monitoring in the past. And you do oh, you currently do. Gotcha, Joe. Thank you. And wildfire. Yeah, wildfire smoke has been a big topic of interest. There is a lot of like formal science focused on that too. So I honestly could only tell you about probably one or two projects that relate to it, which is like our air quality monitoring ones will track smoke. There's also a bird related project that's watching for birds and smoke inhalation issues with birds. It's a primarily West Coast project out in California, Oregon, and Washington, and probably Canada as well. All right. I'm also just prepare yourself. I'll ask this question at the end too, just in case you think of any ways that that might change as we go along too. I'm a long distance hiker and like iNaturalist projects. Yeah, absolutely. The monitor changes along trails like the Pacific Crest Trail. That is awesome. Increase quantitative insights into various topics of interest. Love it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So think about this because I'll ask you again. You have more time, but I'll move us forward for sake of making sure we can get through everything. Promoting real world applications of science. Yes, absolutely. And making science more inclusive. Yeah. As folks who understand science, data sets need to be diverse most of the time. And if we don't have diverse data sets, the science can only take us this far, or like the outcomes and results of that research can only get us so far. So understanding the importance of diversity of data is very key. And being able to show people what science looks like is of particular importance as well. As a former fifth grade science teacher, math and science teacher, it was a really big deal to be able to show them the real world. Like, here's what we're discovering now. Science is not done. We don't have answers. We got to keep asking the questions. All right. So there is a lot I could say about the work that I do as a SciStarter employee, but I'll give you the basics as to what SciStarter does, and so you can use it as a resource for yourself. So we're essentially a big aggregator of science projects. We're the largest database of citizen science projects. So we work with partner programs like Zooniverse, iNaturalist, Anecdata, citsci.org, the citizenscience.gov website. We work with all of those folks to bring them in to create kind of the database of beginner friendly, find everything type of resource. So we work for volunteers, we work for the scientists, we work for the facilitators of these projects because not all of them are very easy for beginners. We look for people to be able to communicate how to participate in these as well to open the playing field even more. And we work with the researchers behind these projects as well. So this is what the website looks like. If you were to go to scistar.org, it would look a little bit like this. If you go to the slash login, you'd be able to sign up for an account, which I'll talk to you about later as well. But the idea is that it's essentially a database. You can also label it out by location too, so you can determine what's close to you if there's regional projects that you would rather participate in. And thanks for adding that into the chat for me. Awesome. So to have an account, if you end up having an account after this event, just know that that means a lot of things. It means you can find and save projects, you can find events or promote events, like add your event to the event finder that we have, so we can post it for you. We have free trainings, and you can earn badges for them. So I'll talk a little bit later about this, but the foundations of citizen science is something I highly recommend to everyone of every stakeholder position within the citizen science industry. We can create lists with projects. You could create a list for someone and just send them a link to say, these are the projects I recommend. You can participate in live events with us, just like this one. I do these all the time with different project leaders. If you're a project leader, I'll also bring you in to do an event like this, which is always really fun. So hopefully I can grab some of you to eventually be leaders in the future, if you're not already. All right, I'm just going to remove that QR code for the time being. So this is the ecosystem. I'll spend very little time on here, but essentially the big idea is that we want to work with every type of person within the industry. So from the project leaders to the facilitators to the public to the researchers, and then there's even like the sponsors and the bigger organizations that participate in these things, like corporate volunteer programs that kind of intersect with this as well. We try to catch every single one of them because we want to be able to provide a service that actually helps connect the entire industry. So we work with a lot of partners to make that happen. You might recognize some of these. The Girl Scouts is a big one. NOAA, of course, it has had a lot of citizen science in the past and often promotes citizen science during Citizen Science Month. We love them. Arizona State University and the North Carolina State University are both our research affiliates. We work with those universities to do research on the industry itself. So we have a lot of research that is available for access at scistarter.org/research, which I can send later as well. Yeah, so we've worked with a lot of these partners. It's evolved as well. So like volunteer matches now idealist.org, and it keeps growing. So we love our friends. We also have a really big network of libraries plus some folks who just wanted to be in the library network, who might be museums or organizations and such. We have over 1,000 in the network. It is also global now. This is a nice picture of the US, but we have folks in Europe, we have folks in Australia, we got folks in China, et cetera. So we have a pretty big range of activity. Within this network, which is all about facilitating this for the public. So bringing it from the scientists, building the project, to showing the facilitators like a library or a librarian to then demonstrate the project with the public so the public can take it further and continue on their own. Most of my job relates to working with these groups of people too. All right, so if you're thinking to yourself, this sounds great, but I have no idea what this even looks like, you can become a volunteer anytime. These are usually pretty easy projects to just jump into. Many of the examples that were put on the screen earlier were ones that you can literally jump into. Dark Energy Explorers is one of my favorites, where you are looking at telescope images and determining whether or not you see a galaxy, if it's noise, or if it's a black hole. So there's all kinds of fun ways you can engage with these projects in very unique ways with science, but it is still very easy to access. And with you all having physics brains, it probably would be a lot easier for you to jump into some rather than others. So you can jump onto SciStarter.org to type in a topic or a keyword or a project name that you know and find all these projects. There's thousands on SciStarter, and we add some every day. And then you can also take the trainings that I mentioned before to kind of get caught up to speed on the basics. So foundations of citizen science, maybe you want to learn how to communicate this type of science to the public. You can take our ambassador training to do that. We also have a higher education training for embedding this into your higher ed curriculums. There's a specific library one if you want to learn about what the libraries do. It's for librarians usually, but of course you're welcome to take it. All these things can be put on your LinkedIn too. You can hit connect to your LinkedIn, and then it's a certification for you. So as I mentioned, the ambassador thing, I just want to drop this as a specifically important thing for you all because as folks who could potentially be subject matter experts, we're looking for more people at SciStarter to be in our database of folks that can be reached out to be subject matter experts, facilitator support, and whatnot for our library network and other community organizations or museums. We are training you all for free, and then there's an application to become a certified ambassador. It's not currently open, but I will let you know when it's open if you have an account on SciStarter. But essentially, these are all folks who are just like really happy to do citizen science. They're connected to their communities, and they want to have opportunities to bring this to the community. And so you could go onto this directory if you would like and just look up someone who loves butterflies, and you'd find 10 folks who are butterfly aficionados. So if you would like to do that, you're welcome to. If you'd like to join them, take the trainings. Then I'll let you know when everything else is or when the application is available. I'll talk a little bit more about that too later, but the thing you can do now too is if you take the training, you'll become a SciStar champion. So you'll get a nice certificate, and then when we open the applications, you can become an ambassador. And that's when you can add that to your LinkedIn as well. So, as a project leader, so totally different area of expertise, right? If you are looking to expand your research into getting citizen input, we help the project leaders from the point of you have a project and you add it to SciStarter. We do not help necessarily with the stuff beforehand, but I'll reference a resource for that momentarily. But what we do is we say, okay, add your project to SciStarter. We'll give you a bunch of tools and promotional resources to be able to gather more volunteers and highlight your work during Citizen Science Month. So this could be everything from a stats page where you're seeing how many views your project gets to affiliate tracking tools, which is a little bit more unique in that we also will track like a frequency of participation so you can understand more about how your volunteers behave and what other projects they might be interested in as well. And so it's big analytics is a part of this. As a not a computer scientist, I can't go too deeply into it, but we do offer quite a bit of analytics. We have a people finder as well if you wanted to locate volunteers who have SciStarter accounts in certain areas of the world. So you could send them a message and just say, hey, we're doing a water quality sampling thing at X location. Come and join us at 11 a.m. on Saturday. And then the ambassador directory is also built for project scientists to be able to reach out and say, hey, I need some folks to become experts in my project. Would you be interested in learning more? And then communicating it to your communities as well. So we have a big set of things to share with you, and we don't want it to go to waste. So if you do have a project or want to start a project, just know that we'll support you all the way once the project's on SciStarter. We have a lot of programs that we kind of intersect with that I mentioned. So the Citizen Science Month thing, the live webinars that are similar to this, where I talk to a scientist and we interview while doing the project. We have an educational community, educator community, the library network, and newsletters, social media, et cetera. So we want to be able to highlight all of these projects, all 1,000 of them. You could also not ask us to do any of these things, and we wouldn't push it either, but you would be on our website. Just a note about that data analytics too, since I'm not the expert, you could also go to scistarter.org/API, which I believe is on your notes doc as well. So you could go on and check out what that looks like. Okay, cool. All right, so because we don't support the project layers before the project exists, I did want to note that we don't not care about that. We want you to be able to create really high quality projects. So if you are interested in evaluating whether or not it makes sense to create a project, our friends at citsci.org built this really awesome guide to how to become a project leader from the starting point of like what your research question is, all the way to the results and follow up after you work with the volunteers. So if you would like to evaluate that series, the link is also, I think it was also uh, in the notes, but I'm actually not sure. Yes, okay, thank you, Meg. Awesome. So this was actually also created by someone who used to work for SciStarter, so it's very tied in with the information we have on our website as well. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second just to take a breath, but also to check because I saw something come through. Okay, we'll come back to data analysis later. Oh, actually, speaking of, if you do have questions about data analysis, the results and follow-up might be a good area to look at. And data collection in the second one might help you with those quality measures as well, but I can also give examples too. Okay, I'm going to take a break of talking because I want you all to have some guessing game time. This is back to the Mentimeter thing. If you did turn it on before, it should also show you the screen. But essentially, what we're going to do is there's a quiz. It's also gamified in a leaderboard. So if you would like to show your prowess at answering these questions, you will be able to. It also is especially helpful to answer the questions fast and accurately because you'll get extra points for that. So I have a bunch of questions that I'd love to share with you all and see just how well we do with either minimal information or if we're already experts, that's awesome too. So this is Name That Project. The first four questions are about what project we're referring to here. And good luck. Does anyone need help with that Menti before we do so? I'll drop the link in the chat again. Oh, except it disappeared for me. Where'd it go? Well, it was all, I also added it to the chat earlier, so we could probably just copy paste. It's the same link. Yeah. Okay. Same link again. Here's that link. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Wendy added to the chat for us. Perfect. Okay. Any other or any qualms before we get started? I'm watching the chat to see if there's questions. Anyone having difficulty? Y'all are experts. I get a million questions about Menti, so I'm very impressed, honestly. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started then. So it is a quiz, so you'll have to add in your like name. Um, oh, yay, so many people. Awesome. I get like 10 on the regular. So thank you all. Yes, and you can add like a username, whatever you want to be called on here. You'll have to prove it's you though if at the end your name is something ridiculous and we don't believe that you won. So just beware. Such fun icons. All right, I'm starting at 26 total. I think you can still join anytime. I'll keep the QR code up. All right. So answer quickly to get more points. And here's your first question. This project results in a personal email from the NASA researchers. Which one is it? Is it cloud spotting on Mars? Is it Aurorasaurus? Is it Globe Observer Mosquito Mapper? Or is it Globe Observer Clouds? 12 of you have answered. We'll have to get to 26 or run out of time. About 7 of us are not sure or have left the room. We'll see. All right, you're out of time. Let's see what it is. Ooh, okay, you five. Lovely job. Awesome job. Both related to clouds, which is fun. But yeah, the cloud spotting on Mars is a great one because you're finding clouds in the high upper Martian atmosphere. But we don't send emails about that. But the Globe Observer team for clouds, when you send an image, they'll send you the satellite image back if you time it well with the satellite. And you do get notified. It's not like a guessing game. If you go outside right when they say the satellite's over you, go do it, they'll send you an email back. I will note that because of the current administration, it has been lower in funding. So I'm not sure how long they'll be able to do that. So do it now. Practice your cloud observing now before you're not able to anymore. All right. And with that downer, next one. Next question. Again, in this project, you may be looking at documents no one has seen for centuries. I might have given an accidental clue for this one earlier. Is it public editor, citizen archivist, images of curiosity, or bumblebee atlas? Got 5 seconds left. All right, let's see. Citizen archivist, awesome. Okay, hopefully context clues kind of helped with that one too. But yeah, if you're doing citizen archivist work, that probably means it's the archives, right? Um, yes. So essentially, what you'll be doing in that project is looking at everything from like the Revolutionary War to just documents over American history through the National Archives to figure out how to add all this stuff, digitize this stuff so that American history is bigger and has more of those unique circumstances or unique stories involved. Awesome. 26 players ready. Your question is, you can help develop medicines by designing RNA molecules in this project. And they have successfully created multiple RNA molecules that work for medical research. Is it iWire? Is it Neurica? Is it Eterna? Is it Cancer Crusade? All of these work in medical science. Got 19 of you. More of you are getting confident. Ooh. Okay, yeah. So funny because I think is it because we're curious about the RNA vaccine being used for like cancer, uh, like unique vaccines for specific cancers or specific people with cancer. I'm curious if that's why we answered that. But yeah, it's Eterna. Eterna is a program that's really difficult. I can't do it, but it's like a multi-tutorial, like 10-hour tutorial session before you get to work with the RNA, but they do really legit research and work in medical science, which is just blows my mind every time. For those of you who said Neurica, that's a dementia related project. It's a like a it's an app on your phone, and so you can just play games, and it helps with dementia research. Cancer Crusade is also a game. I have not played it yet, but it is like little icons playing games across it. So it's a very that one's very friendly to younger people as well. Cool. All right, last one of this section, and then I have questions in a different topic. Let's see. In this project, you can sit back, relax, and ingest a lot of sodium to test your body's reaction. Is it Cancer Crusade again? Which I hope now you know it probably is not. Measuring the vitamin C in food, a global experiment, step up to the plate, food waste audit, or eating popcorn for science. More of you participate every time. Are you getting more confident? All right, what's the answer? It is eating popcorn for science. Sodium. Makes sense. I did this project. It was really fun. I watched an entire James Bond movie, maybe two, while eating popcorn and then measuring how, like, you basically are measuring to see if you have like inflammation, essentially. You also drink an entire cup of, or oh my gosh, what's it called? Veggie stock or chicken stock, depending on what you want to do. I did veggie stock and it's just real salty. And then you eat a ton of popcorn. It's great. All right. And then I also have some very specific news stories that I would like to share, just because this is not just about having fun with the science, but also actually amounting to real research. So I'll give you some more examples of that, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the Citizen Science Month materials. So in this project, NASA citizen scientists have discovered all of the following, excuse me, NASA citizen scientists have discovered all the following except for one of these. Is it 100,000 emperor penguin nests? Is it thousands of brown dwarfs? Is it thousands of candidate near Earth asteroids, hundreds of exoplanets, or all known meteorites? It is because of citizen scientists that these all have been discovered, except 5 seconds. This one's kind of tough. Oh, you know. Amazing. Wow, I don't know how you know, but good job. Yeah, we haven't found all known meteorites, but weirdly enough, I think we might have found all comets or something like of human history. I can't remember. But this idea is that yes, we care about emperor penguins and NASA apparently, but we do not know about all the meteorites, sadly. Oh well. Next. All right. I hope it is eating popcorn. Oh, yes, Allie. All right. Which one is the lost to science animal that was found in a bathroom of a citizen scientist in 2011? This was in Brazil, if that helps. Someone in Brazil found this animal in their bathroom. And so it was no longer lost to science. Hooray. Is it the Colombian weasel, the passenger pigeon, golden toad, or the dodo bird? I wish it was the dodo bird. It's the Colombian weasel. If you've ever heard of hashtag toilet weasel, you probably haven't, but that is what it is. The toilet weasel it was a Colombian weasel that was just hanging out on a toilet. And they took pictures of it, put it on iNaturalist, and years later too, not even immediately, years later, they were like, wait, scientists were like, can you tell us more about this? Because this looks very suspiciously like something we've never seen alive. They only had dead specimens, and turns out it was the Colombian weasel. So, fun fact. The golden toad is still lost to science, I'm sorry, and the passenger pigeon as well. Dodo bird is definitely extinct. All right. Almost done, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am. This plant was discovered in 2024 in Big Bend National Park by a citizen scientist. So my long distance hiker, this could be you one day. Is it the woolly devil, the killer tobacco plant, Cape primrose, or voodoo lily? I should have put pictures of these. I'll have to find you a toilet weasel picture for the notes document. All right, 5 seconds. Ooh, no, it's the woolly devil. Nicely done, the four of you. Yeah, it's not the Cape Primrose. Might be based on location. I can't remember where I found that name, if it was a citizen scientist elsewhere. But the woolly devil was found in Big Bend National Park. It's this teeny tiny flower that's like a succulent-esque. That's my description of it for anyone who's like, what does that look like? And then lastly, last one. This new auroral phenomenon was discovered and named by Aurorasaurus participants. They chose the name. Is it Alexis? Is it Steve? Is it Evie? Is it Flair? For any of you folks who have a matching name in here, I hope your name is Flair. Ah, okay, well, Yosef thinks it's Flair. Okay. Oh man, it's Steve. It's Steve. They've created a backronym for it afterwards as well because they were like, fine, okay, we'll name it Steve. But they were successful at creating a backronym. I could not tell you what it is though because it was a it was a struggle to create it. All right, who did the best? We'll see. Such fun names on here. Okay, let's doing some rearranging. All right, we got Sycamore with the best. Who's Sycamore? Is someone named Sycamore in here, or is that a real nickname that they added? Congratulations, Sycamore. Also, congratulations, Nicole and the Hustler, and everyone else who made it on this list because we don't actually have all of you on here. Rachel, nicely done. Let me give you also a star emoji. Well done. That was very impressive. But thank you all for playing. I hope that was a good break to just listening to lecture. I'm not a fan of lecture. All right. So to close us out, the last section of what I wanted to talk about was what you can do now. There we go. What you can do now for citizen science and joining the community, because I hope this has seemed interesting enough for you to want to join to be able to name an auroral phenomenon in the future. You can choose a different name in the future as well, because they will not be using Steve again. Thanks, Wendy. Awesome. So April is Citizen Science Month. It is the largest moment in time in which we are pushing for everyone everywhere to do citizen science. And in order to lower some barriers to entry, we've also started to use the terms of acts of science, also to connect it to volunteerism. So if you think of like acts of service, acts of science is a similar concept, but the service is for science. So we're aiming for 2.5 million by the end of February, or excuse me, by the end of April. So from April 1st to 30th, we'll be getting 2.5 million acts of science completed by the public. So if you would like to join that challenge, we welcome you and want you there. It should be a really fun time. Last year, I mean, we've gotten millions of acts of science in the past, and we're now just focusing on 2.5 million for the America 250 connection, in case that's not obvious. Uh, Next slide. There we go. So just to give you a better description of what Access Science actually pertains to, so this is measurable contributions. It's referring to citizen science, but really we talk about community science too, which the only difference there, by the way, community science refers to there not necessarily being a scientist involved. It's community driven from the beginning. They bring scientists in at the end to help give an expert perspective on the data, but it is a community driven thing. So thinking about environmental justice, for example, those are situations in which that might be more popular. What does it like look like in action? So you can track bird migration in the spring. You can count pollinators. You can report street flooding. You can measure light pollution. Every single one of these things will count. You can make a classification on dark energy explorers. Every single classification, regardless of you saying throw it back in dark energy explorers, you either keep the galaxy or you throw the information away. And so every time you throw it away or every time you find a galaxy, all of those are individual acts of science. So you can stack up a lot of acts of science in one day if you want to do a Zooniverse project. Why do people get involved? So if you find a personal mission with one of these science topics, that's awesome. That's a good reason to start. And some just want to give back to science, especially in this current like area of administration and just environment around science. Funding cuts have made it really important for people to participate. You can participate as a COCO-RAS volunteer or NPING, both are National Weather Service involved. And so with the lack of funding for the National Weather Service, citizen scientists are kind of filling in a lot of gaps and doing a lot of collection of data for when the rain is happening and how much rain is happening, or other precipitation, of course. So if you want to take it as a personal mission for any topic, or you just want to engage in a hobby, this is for you. So the two big ideas for April are the America 250 and America Gives, which is the volunteer branch of America 250, and then the Citizen Science Month, which happens every year. So we'll bring you back every single year as long as you want to be with us for Citizen Science Month. We're also an official partner of America Gives, so everything you do during April and 2026 writ large, if you do any citizen science across the year, it'll count towards the America Gives volunteerism effort because we report back to America 250 saying this many people did this many acts of science throughout the entire year because that is the entire year of the 250th anniversary. So I added the link very tiny at the bottom, but if you want to go and explore everything related to this, it's citizensciencemonth.org. I gave a bad link before, so if it was added to the notes doc, Meg, I'm sorry. It might not be there, but I don't remember seeing it. But citizensciencemonth.org is the good link to go to. It'll take you to our homepage where you can learn about what Citizen Science Month is, more than what I'm saying now. You can learn about how to participate. You can also learn how to build an event. So if you would like to engage more people in your community, we have a whole page to help you do that, which also includes projects that are tied in with events that are 2 hour events over Zoom that you can like just tap into. We'd love to have you there too. We'll be doing 3 NASA projects during that. So we'll start with cloud spotting on Mars. So if you want to be a meteorologist for Mars, here's your chance. We'll be doing one for Rubin comet catchers, which is a newer project out of the Rubin Observatory. And then Snapshot Wisconsin. For anyone who's from Wisconsin or the Midwest in general, there's a camera trap project that NASA funds in which you literally are just looking at deer most of the time or other animals in the Wisconsin or foresty areas to identify what animals you're seeing and what they're doing. And then you're just having a nice exploratory experience through all those camera traps. So that'll be a fun one too. We're also doing one for a citizen archivist, looking at transcribing documents, and then lastly, stall catchers, which is actually something I'll mention too in a bit because it's one of my starter pack examples, which is accelerating medical science. All right. So now that you know way too much about citizen science, has your answer changed about how this can benefit you? Have you seen something that you're thinking, okay, I would love to use this in X matter. Oh, I want to create a project that's about X. Whatever you would like to take away from this, I'd love to know. If you don't have an answer, that's also okay. That's, I'll leave it up for a moment so I can catch my breath and look at the chat. One issue. Oh, okay, that one was not for me. Is there any more events or social gatherings here? For Citizen Science Month specifically, if you go to the Citizen Science Month.org, I'll actually hold on, let me pause my screen share because I'll just show you the page. Citizen Science Month. Okay. So this is that page, citizensciencemonth.org. If you were to go to participate, you can scroll down and see how to start in minutes. So if you want to join a project, join an event, this is a special event series. It's our signature event series. So if you were to explore those ones are the ones I highlighted just a moment ago with Rubin Comet Catchers and others. But we have all these events here that you can join us in. Some of them are based in actual locations. You'll see like dates or locations here. But for the most part, many of them are online. So what's the weather like on Mars? That's the Cloud Spotting on Mars signature event. I'll go ahead and click on that button for us. You can see the other ones. If you would like to be a live stream event host too, by the way, you're welcome to do so. These are the events. So the second is our Cloud Spotting on Mars, a citizen archivist on the 10th. 16th is Stall Catchers, which is accelerating Alzheimer's research. We have the Earth Day Animal Spot-a-thon with Snapchat Wisconsin, and then
Anna,
comments clues. Yeah.
real quick, sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
Your
did it
screen is
stop?
on your Menti right now. It's not on the
Oh
event.
no, I thought I stopped it. Okay, I have to reset it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, this is what I was just describing. It just has pictures of what I was saying. Nice pictures. And then Citizen Science Month, if that also paused, this is what that looks like. Participate. Ta-da. Events. Projects by staff, or picked by staff, I should say. So if you're looking for a good way to start, these are some examples. They're not all staff, though. I probably should change that. It's by the SciStarter crew, because like these are ambassadors. All right. Hopefully that answered that question. And then I will jump back, but I'm going to stop my share to do that instead. I'm seeing a lot of these notes help me write my thesis. Nice. Low effort volunteer opportunities. Yeah, absolutely. Very low effort in most cases. Thank you for sharing with daughter. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because like most of these projects, like I don't recommend them for kids, like young kids, because there's some really hard stuff in here sometimes where you have to learn how to evaluate telescope data. So while it is kid friendly, often, and in fact, the stall catchers one I mentioned, the most accurate answers come from like middle schoolers. So if you want to look at this for kids, you're very welcome to. We have even a website, scistarter.org/education, where it's set by grade level. But there are plenty of reasons why adults should be involved, especially. Excited about volunteering and maybe engaging with my community through citizen science? Yeah, absolutely. Bring it on. Become an ambassador. All right. I'm going to leave you with these as your last steps. If you are enthused about any of this and want to start exploring, I would highly recommend creating a SciStarter login so that you can actually save these projects to come back to later. If you are logged in and take the foundations training, you'll earn a badge you can put on your LinkedIn. It'll also just give you a good idea of like the basics. And then if you join us during Citizen Science Month and join us for the Access Science Connected events, those will be really fun. So I'm looking forward to bringing you all to those as well and become a SciStar ambassador. One of the parts or one of the reasons I mentioned the Access Science Connected and the becoming an ambassador is we want more subject matter experts available to the public, and I think you all are potentially in a good position to answer questions that we might not be able to answer as the informal educators. We'll have the project scientists on with us for most of these events. But sometimes there's questions that like come out of left field that people are just curious about. And so if you are interested in talking about physics, if you're interested in talking about any kind of topic that we plan to, having you online and being an extra subject matter expert is a nice opportunity to answer some questions from the public. And I think the last slide I have is just a starter kit. If you're like, where do I start? This is too many things. These are some of my favorite projects. So as I mentioned, Dark Energy Explorers a ton. Highly recommend. It's on Zooniverse. This list of projects is also on your notes doc. iNaturalist is a great one because it's the one that you just document wildlife around your neighborhood. They do ask you to only do wildlife, so please don't take pictures of like your planted plants, cultivated plants, for example. But it's great to take on a hike. We also have the City Nature Challenge at the end of April. That's part of Citizen Science Month, so we would love to have more folks involved in that as well. Globe at Night is the evaluating light pollution one. So if you care a lot about responsible lighting in your community, that's a good one. I added the woodpecker one. It's another Zooniverse project where it's the woodpecker cavity cam is what it is, which is in the chat as well. And that one, you're looking at their bands that they have on these birds to help the scientists track behavior, which is really cool because it's especially good, maybe since my brain is on the education part of this, but being able to explain how scientists do research, this is a really solid example of like how we accomplish these things. Stall Catchers is the Alzheimer's research project. You'll be looking at mouse brain scans. It's not morbid in any way, shape, or form. It's using that whatever scanning machine it is. I don't remember which one, but the scanning machine, it creates videos of where the movement is happening through the tiny, tiny capillaries in the brain. And so when you see a stalled blood vessel, you're marking as stalled or otherwise marking as flowing. And it's really interesting because you are looking at data that's using certain medications in these mice. So we're evaluating whether or not certain medications are working prevent to prevent the stalls, which is really important. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share because that's the last slide I have, and I will pause there. We have a good amount of time to ask questions.